Hi, this is Josh Wyatt. I'm going to give a screencast that is going to show you how to create and or modify your bash profile, which will allow you to navigate your command line and create small functions that allow you to use shortcuts to do different things from the command line. I'm going to assume that you have a little bit of experience using the command line. You should be able to move around in different directories, and also this is pertinent to using Bash as it exists in a Macintosh. If you're on a Linux or Windows machine, I cannot guarantee you that any of this will work. Okay, here we go. The first thing you need to do is to change into your home directory. Well, the first thing you need to do is open your terminal. If you haven't done so already, you can do it from the Spotlight. If you have something like Alfred, you can type in your terminal. Inside of there, you need to change to your home directory. You can do that just by a CD, and there you are. You'll notice, and this will become important later, that this is indicated by a tilde. So the first thing we want to do is look at the files in here, but we also want to look at the hidden files. The way that you do that is with an ls-a. This will show many different files that exist, have a dot in them that aren't usually visible when you just look into the directory. We're looking for a bash profile. I don't have one here. I do have a bash prof back. That's actually the backup of my original bash profile. I deleted it so that I could construct it from scratch in this screencast. But we don't actually see that bash profile existing. So we want to create a new file. To do that from the command line, use the touch, and then we'll call it dot bash profile. There it is. Now, we need to open the bash profile for editing. One thing you have to be careful about is that you open it in a text editor that is going to be in plain text format. Some of my colleagues and I have experienced some bugs when trying to open bash profile in an application that wasn't really intended for text editing. So what you need to do is find an application that you can use to open this. I use Sublime Text 2. You need to know the actual application name. You can do that pretty easily by looking in your applications folder on Finder, finding whatever text editor you want to use. And this text right here is in fact the text that you need to know. For me, it's Sublime space text space 2. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open with the application. That's what that -a means. Sublime, because there's a space, I have to escape it. Text 2, and I want to open the bash profile. Okay, there it is. Now that we're in the bash profile, we're going to be doing something called creating an alias. An alias is a way for you to assign a variable to a command that you would give on the command line. The first variable we want to do is to be able to open things in Sublime Text Editor like we just did without having to type out that whole line every time. I'm going to use the shorthand OSU, and before you start assigning variables to your aliases in your bash profile, you should check to make sure that they don't already exist natively in your terminal. So go to terminal, and if I type OSU, it says command not found. That's good for us because that means I can use OSU to do something. If I wanted to create a shortcut for something, say, and call it ls, I would go in here, type ls, and you would see, oh, that actually does something. So you don't want to use that as one of your alias variables. So back in here, all you have to do is type alias space the name of your shortcut variable equals with no spaces, double quotes, and then you say what it is you would type at the command line. In this situation, there we go. Next time that we're on the command line, we can just type OSU instead of typing all of this. Now, every time you modify the bash profile, you have to refresh the file. We should make ourselves a shortcut so that one, we can open bash profile very quickly, and two, so that we can refresh it very quickly. So we'll write another alias. I'm going to call it prof, short for profile, and I'm going to say that that is to open in Sublime Text Editor. This is the command that I just created right here. It will actually extend to this whole line, OSU, file in my home folder called bash profile. Great. I will make my refresh the bash profile called reprof. You can call it whatever you like. Again, we're checking, does prof do anything? No. Does reprof do anything? No. Those are safe to use. We'll use the plus, that means to execute. We're going to execute the file in the home folder, the file called bash profile. Great. We're going to save this. We're going to quit all the way out of Sublime. And in fact, we now have to refresh the bash profile. The very first time you do that, you have to do it by hand. So we're going to hit period to execute. We're going to execute a file in the home folder. That file is called .bash_profile. There we go, no problem. Now we can start using our shortcuts. The first one being prof. Open it up. There it is. Now we can start making some other aliases. Oftentimes you might want to use a comment, such as this hashtag that will indicate that this line is a comment to say what kinds of aliases you're creating. One of the most popular things I like to do is make navigational aliases. For example, let's say I have a folder in here somewhere that I need to move to quite frequently. Instead of typing cd documents Hypno or let's see here, computer programming, JavaScript. So this gets to be a little bit lengthy. So instead, if I want, I can just copy and paste that entire thing. For JavaScript, I think I'm going to use the shortcut JS. So on here, I might as well type JS, command not found. That's good. I'll go in here, set an alias JS, and I'm going to set it equal to that whole command that I just typed. Okay, so now when I go into my desktop, even if I'm in my home directory, you'll see, well, first we have to refresh profile, then we'll see if I type ls, it'll take me directly into, if I type JS, it will take me, this is actually the home directory. We're always starting from the home directory. So now if I type reprof JS, there we go. Now I'm in the JavaScript folder. That can be really helpful, I think. Second common thing that you might do is to create aliases that combine common functions. One thing I find myself doing a lot is to make a directory. We'll call it temp for now, and then changing into the directory. It might be nice if I could do those things at once. So let's back out one file. Go ahead and remove that temp folder for now. Of course, it's directories, so we have to use the rf tag. This time we are going to use a function. You can, this time, set a variable. We'll call it mkcd to indicate that we're going to be making a directory and then changing into it. Again, I'm going to make sure nothing exists there that is mkcd. After that, you have to make those parentheses, and then curly braces, and you move inside of them. Now you can list a series of commands. We're going to do make directory, and we're going to be changing directory. Now, here's the thing. When I give the make directory command, it's actually a name here, right? In this case, temp. This temp, in fact, is an argument that we're passing into the make directory command. It's the first argument that we're passing into that. You can refer whatever argument is going to be passed into this command with the shorthand quote $, and then we want the first argument. And then also here, we want to cd the $, first argument. Let's save that. Let's refresh it. Now let's make and change into the temp directory. There we go. I created a new directory temp and moved into it in one span. I hope you enjoyed this screencast. If you're unfamiliar with the command line, I recommend the command line crash course. It's free. You can look it up on Google. Hope you're doing well.